Hi.
To start our lesson today, I have a question for you, Aaron. What helps you when you are afraid? Like when you're really, really scared, what helps you to be okay? Can you think of a time?
Well, you know that I get scared of a lot of things.
Yeah, you do.
And sometimes when I'm afraid of the dark, it helps me to sleep with the light on. Or when I'm afraid of a velociraptor or a spider or a mallard, it helps me if I run away really, really fast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and when I'm afraid and don't know what to do, I sometimes make a tinfoil hat to protect my precious brain. You know, a lot of valuables up there. I want to keep them safe.
Well, those are some ideas. Yeah.
Good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we know that there's going to be times in this world where we are afraid, where we are scared. Being a hero does not mean never being afraid. It means that we're able to face our fears because we have confidence in God. God is sovereign, God is faithful, and God is good. And because we trust in God, we can have the confidence to face our fears. Now, I can get afraid of things too, and usually what makes me afraid is the unknown, not knowing. Like when I watch a movie and there's a really scary, suspenseful scene and I don't really know what's going to happen, that makes me really afraid. Yeah. Or like when there's a thunderstorm and I don't really know when the lightning's going to strike or when the thunder's going to crash, I can get really, really afraid of that. Or even sometimes when I think about how I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow and I don't know what's going to happen next week or next month or next year, I can get really, really scared thinking about the future, thinking about how I don't really know all the bad things that are going to happen or all the good things that are not going to happen, and it can make me really, really afraid.
Yeah, me too. I get that. I get it. But you know what I could do is I can make you a tinfoil hat.
Oh.
You know, but I don't think it will protect you from the future.
Yeah.
But maybe if I make a really big one, it might get something going.
Let's save that for our baked potatoes, yeah? But thanks so much for thinking about that. But you know what? I don't want to hide under a tinfoil hat. I want to be a hero, and I trust in God. I believe in God, and I know that God is sovereign, and that helps me to face my fears. I do not have any inner strength or inner courage. In fact, I'm not a really brave person naturally, but because I believe in God's sovereignty, I can face my fears.
That's right. And that reminds me of what we're going to be learning about this week in our Bible verse that says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." So that's not saying that we should be strong and courageous because of our own inner strength and let's go get it, but because of God, and He's promised to be with us and give us the strength through His Holy Spirit.
Absolutely. In our Bible story today, we see the disciples in a very scary situation, and we see Jesus as He displays the power and sovereignty and goodness of God. Our story comes from Mark chapter 4, and in this story we see Jesus and His disciples. It said it's evening, so it's nighttime, it's starting to get dark, and they get into a boat, and Jesus says,
"Let us go across to the other side."
So they get into a boat, they're going onto the Sea of Galilee, and there's all these other boats with them. And a big storm arose. It said it was a windstorm. So I don't think it was raining, but there's waves that are breaking over their boat and crashing.
Oh, I know this part. Waves of mercy, waves of grace.
Not those kind of waves. It's not waves of mercy, waves of grace. These are waves like storm waves. These are scary waves.
Scary kind.
And their boat was filling up with water. Do you know what happens when a boat fills up with water? It could sink, yeah. So disciples are getting really, really afraid. Yeah. But Jesus, He's in the back of the boat in the stern, it says, and He was asleep on a cushion. So the disciples woke Him up and they said to Jesus,
"Teacher, do you not care that we're perishing?"
And He awoke. It says He rebuked the wind and He said to the wind,
"Peace, be still."
And all of a sudden the wind stopped and there was a great calm and the weather was peaceful again. And He said to the disciples,
"Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?"
And it says the disciples were filled then with great fear. Now this is different than the fear they were feeling earlier. Earlier, they were afraid they were going to die. They were afraid of the weather. They were scared. Just like how, Aaron, you might be afraid of the dark or afraid of a velociraptor
Yeah, don't
or
remind
a
me.
spider. Yeah, that was how they were afraid before. But now, when they see that Jesus has power over nature, the fear that they're filled, they're not afraid of Jesus. They're not scared of Jesus. They are in awe. They are in wonderment. They are amazed. And they are worshiping. They are so amazed at the power of Jesus that all they can do is worship him. And they say to each other,
Who is this then, that even the wind and the sea obey him?
the disciples didn't understand. They were like, how could he have all this power? They've never seen anyone with power over the weather. I mean, even when we think about the superheroes that we know and love, right? Superman still had rainy days.
Oh, turbulence.
I'm sure Batman had to still shovel his driveway
Well, he probably had
with
Alfred
snow.
do it. You know.
Well, maybe. He was pretty rich. Yeah, maybe.
Just pay someone.
Yeah, probably. But even Spider-Man, right, had cloudy days. None of them had power over the weather. Jesus is a true hero. And in this story, he displays the power of God. Now, we can take this story and sometimes we will have actual rainy days. Like there was that earthquake. There's been times where people are in floods or fires or tornadoes or hurricanes, and they are in actually scary weather. But more often than not, we are going to be in a situation where we are going to be afraid of something in this world. And in those moments, we need to remember that heroes face their fears, not because they have their own inner strength, but they are able to face their fears only because God is sovereign, God is in control, and heroes trust in God. All right, this week I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge us to have a discussion with your family. Guaranteed there's certain things, certain fears that you've been dealing with, certain things that have been making you afraid. Talk as a family. How are you not trusting God when you're afraid of those things? How can you work together to keep each other accountable and encourage one another to trust that God is in control over your fears?
Yeah, so maybe then we should talk about my fear of velociraptors and things like that.
We could.
And maybe it'd help to watch Jurassic Park again. Yeah, more exposure might help.
How about we read our Bible and read more stories about how God is powerful, and then you'll realize that God is even more powerful than a velociraptor.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. In our Everyday Hero video this week, we are going to see a hero who works to protect others. Knowing that there are scary things in this world, it is amazing that God has given us people who can help protect us from some of those scary things. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Michael Zach. I'm the owner and general manager of a startup private security firm called Omni Protection Specialists. I'm also the leader of our church's security team. Since Omni Protection is still in the startup phase, I spend most of my time here at my desk writing the rules and procedures that govern how Omni Protection is to operate, and writing training material for future employees. I use the books here to verify that the information I've learned throughout my career is still accurate and up to date. I also wrote the rules and procedures for the church security team and provide advice to the church elders on issues of security. I provide training and direct leadership to the rest of the team so we'll all know how to respond to medical emergencies, fires, and other safety concerns. On Sundays, you may have seen me or another team member in the kids ministry area during check-in or in the lobby during gathering times before or after worship. We stand watch in these areas so that we're able to respond quickly should any emergency arise. The security team wears name tags like this and is in radio contact with select members of the church, so if you ever need help, look for someone with a radio or a name tag. As a Christian, I wrote the rules, procedures, and training with the Bible, and particularly people's worth as children of God, in mind, so that I and other members of our team treat everyone with respect and kindness, even when they are not treating us with respect and kindness. Because of my firm beliefs, I've walked away from 2 positions in law enforcement because I was asked or ordered to do things that were in conflict with my faith and God and belief in the worth of all mankind. I and our church security team sacrifice our time to worship God in church at least once a month to serve others and keep everyone safe. I truly believe that the most powerful way to spread God's love is through our actions, and I hope that through my example, I and the members of our team can show God's love even when we have to interact with someone at their worst behavior.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Zach, for helping keep our church safe, for working with the leaders of our church and thinking about how we can make sure that we have a safe place to worship God. Kids, this week, I would encourage you to take one of our templates to make a card or a letter or a picture, or even use some of your own paper to write a letter and give appreciation to the people who are helping to protect our church. You can send your letters right to the church. Pastor Michael is over that security team, and he can make sure that the security team gets your letters. And then maybe start thinking, who else do you know helps protect people? Maybe you want to write to a police officer or a firefighter. Maybe you want to write to someone that you know is a security guard or helps to keep people safe. I challenge you to do that this week. How amazing would it be if we are praying for those people who are working to keep people safe, if we are appreciative and thankful? Think of all the letters that could go out around to people in our valley.